Well, I just could not pass up the opportunity to get a mow in today. These last few days, the temperatures have been fantastic. We've been in the 70s, the high 70s for the highs these last couple of days. Back up a few weeks prior, it's been in like the 90s, 100 a couple of times. Just been awful for the month of June so far. And so that brings me to a couple of points that I want to talk about today is how to keep your lawn bussin' all through summer, no cap. Or whatever the kids are saying these days, lid or fleek, or I don't know, just keep it looking good all summer long. Got a couple tips I want to cover with you guys about how I manage my lawn with fungicides, mowing, watering, fertilizers, all that stuff. So let's get right into the video. All right, so let's lead off with a little bit of talk about fungicide and the fungicide program that I've been using on my lawn so far this year. I wanted to take a little bit different approach than I did last year because I did have some issues with fungus and pythium, and I didn't want to have those issues again. So after talking to a couple of sports turf professionals and professional applicators, I landed on a product called Armada. Essentially what Armada is it's a group 3 and a group 11 fungicide sort of in one formulation. So it's one bottle. It has the two modes of action in one product. Those of you that are familiar with azoxystrobin and propiconazole, essentially this is like having both of those in one bottle. I also started to incorporate a product called Cleary's 3336, and that's a group 1 fungicide. So by having those 3 products, I'm actually able to rotate 3 different modes of action, and I'm applying those at typically, whatever the interval calls for on the label, whether that's a 14 or a 21 or a 28-day interval, kind of apply those accordingly to the label. And honestly, so far, I have not had a single issue with any sort of fungus in my front yard. It looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the results that I'm getting from that. That said, going into July and August, the 2 harshest months for me here in the transition zone where the disease triangle sort of starts to rear its ugly head the most, I'm going to start incorporating in a product called Alliet. Now, Alliet is a phosphite type product that can be marketed either as a fertilizer or a fungicide. In this case, Alliet is marketed as a fungicide, but it uses phosphites as a preventative action and a curative action for pythium. So I'm going to start rotating that in around July and August. Every 30 days I'm going to apply it. So 2 applications of the Alliet going down with my normal rotation of the Armada and the Cleary's 3336, and that should give me really good coverage for brown patch, summer patch, dollar spot, any sort of root rot or pythium issues I could be having in the front yard. That's going to really cover all my bases there. Unless something really crazy happens with some sort of fungus outbreak I have in my front yard, I should pretty much be covered for those issues all summer long. Because trust me, you don't want to deal with pythium. It sucks. So now let's transition into fertilizers going into summer and maybe what you could use or maybe you shouldn't use during the hottest months of the year where your lawn is going to be stressed out. Here my cool season lawn is going to naturally start to decline now that we're getting into July and August. Those are months where the cool season lawns definitely struggle, especially with root decline. So you really do not want to push a lot of top growth on your lawn going into those heavy, hot summer months. But if you are going to use some fertilizers, I would suggest a spoon feeding approach to that. Very little amounts of nitrogen, maybe 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen, and incorporate some biostimulants into those applications to really help your roots kind of thrive and get its way through July and August so that you're looking at a better outcome leading into the fall. A couple of products that I like to use throughout the summer, and it's one that I talk about a lot on this channel, is Multipurpose 402 by BioPro. Essentially what this is, it's a very low rate on the nutrients. It's a 402 analysis. The inputs are going to be a really, really low spoon feed, but the benefits to this product is essentially that it has sea kelp in it to help your roots and help with the root mass. It also has some amino acids in there to also aid with your roots, but then you also have the added benefit of hydrotane being combined in this product. And so by applying the Multipurpose 402 every 2 weeks at about 6 ounces per 1,000 square feet, that's going to give you a full rate of hydrotane throughout those applications. So each application has about 1/6 of an application on a full rate of the hydrotane. So if this is something that you want to use to supplement the hydrotane application, maybe you've already made, or maybe you never applied it but you want to start getting into it, the multipurpose 402 is going to be a good option for you. The other option, and something I'm trying this year, is a 1707 analysis by the Lawn Supply Company. This is a product that you can spoon feed with. I'd again like to apply about 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen with this. It's got some ammonium sulfate in it. It has some sulfate of potash. And these are two things that are really going to help me kind of get my lawn through the summer and give it a little bit of color and keep it looking healthy. And this is a water-soluble product, so essentially all I have to do is break it down in water. I can do that right in the backpack sprayer, then go ahead and just spray that out. And then I water it in with any other applications that I'm doing. Same can be said for multipurpose 402. You can either do that through a backpack sprayer, or if you have a hose end sprayer, either one of those methods is going to be preferred for applying those products. It's completely up to you on how you like to apply. Then if you also want to mix in some things for color, like Feature's got 10% iron in it along with some micronutrients. You can also use a liquid iron like this product I have from BioPro called Iron Plus. These are really good options to help you carry some color in through the summer without giving your lawn too much nitrogen, and kind of help it hold on a little bit if you still want to be able to give your lawn a nice shot of color but without giving it a whole lot of top growth. Those iron products are also really good options for you as well. As we lead into the hot summer months of July and August and your turf is really starting to decline a little bit, that's going to allow some weed pressure to move in. And with the weed pressure, you're going to want to go out and treat that. You have a couple of options. You can treat that chemically with an herbicide. This is Triad TZ. This is what I typically use on my lawn. It has some sulfentrazone in it. It has some 2,4-D, dicamba, and then also some triclopyr, which are a really good option with a 4-way herbicide like this to treat a number of the types of weeds that we have here where I live, whether it's clover, crabgrass, spurge, nutsedge, you name it. Sulfentrazone is actually really good for the nutsedge. Now, I've got a little bit of a nutsedge problem coming up in the front yard. It's really not that noticeable because I'm mowing so low in the front. I really don't have an issue with it here in the backyard. So I'm going to take a cultural approach to controlling the nutsedge this year. I'm really not going to go out and spray. I'm just going to continue to mow, and eventually the nutsedge will just sort of phase out as we get through the year. But if you have to spray, one precaution I would give you for cool season lawns is that you really don't want to spray when air temperatures are above 85 degrees. The reason being is because your grass is going to be in periods of stress where, yes, the selective herbicide may state that it's safe for cool season lawns, but if you're spraying that chemical on a cool season lawn when it's really stressed out, you could see some turf injury, and you probably want to avoid that. Your other option is to just simply go out and hand pick these weeds if it's not a big deal for you and you have time to go out and just hand pick those. That's not going to be too big of a deal. With the nutsedge, there's some back and forth about whether you want to pick that or not. I've picked nutsedge myself and haven't had any issues with it. If the nutsedge is mature enough, it can throw out some runners and rhizomes and grow through tubers and actually spread quite a bit. So if you're growing a taller grass stand and you've got the air temperatures where it's conducive to go ahead and go out and spray that, I would treat that with either sulfentrazone or halsulfuron, which is known as sedge hammer by its label name, and then you can also find those in generic versions as well. You can typically find those at local landscape shops, or you can even find them online for convenience. All right, so I got my sprinklers on. The final point that I'll make here in regards to irrigation is that if you're going to irrigate in the summer, you have two options. Either you are all in or you don't do it at all. You really don't want to come out to the lawn and try and bring it in and out of dormancy a bunch of times. That can cause a lot of problems for you. If you're going to water, make sure you're staying on top of the watering. You can test how much water you're putting out by doing the tried and true tuna can test. This is a test that's not just for beginners. It really gives you an idea of how much water you're getting down on the lawn at any given time. It's going to tell you how much you need to irrigate with your sprinklers. So if you're getting a ½ inch or maybe an inch per week, really you want to be in that sweet spot of about 1 to 1.5 inches per week. You can split that up into 2 or 3 waterings per week. Maybe you might get some rain in between your irrigation where you're doing it manually. That's great. That's kind of why I do it 3 times a week or maybe twice a week, so that in case I do get some rain, I don't have to run my sprinklers and I can save myself some money from running the water. If you are going to let it go dormant, Just let the lawn go dormant naturally, let it do its thing. It's not dead. It may look horrible, but it is just going dormant. And once the temperatures and the water come back into play, kind of leading into the fall, and they're more conducive to your grass growing again, it will come back faster than you expect. So if you're on that side of the fence, just let it go dormant. If not, if you're going to water, be prepared to water and water often, especially if you have a cool season lawn in the Midwestern transition zone like I do. It's just part of life, and you're going to have to learn how to live with it. If you are irrigating, sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and give your lawn a syringing sort of in the middle of the day, especially if it's been hot. This is really just running your sprinklers for maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, just to kind of cool things off. This is going to be something that you're going to do in addition to your normal watering plan. So I'm doing that right now. I'm going to give my lawn a good syringe here. So I really hope that you guys liked the content here. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me some comments in the comment section. Love hearing from you guys and hearing your perspective on things. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one.